do you have empty glass?
Empty glass. I hit record and you guys just ruined everything. But welcome to the NBA Nightcap. Nick Reed here. I'm going to be your host. Lucas he's pouring himself a drink for the first time ever on this podcast. This is episode number 22. That's not true. But yeah, welcome to the Nightcap, guys. It's finally here, the day we've been waiting for, the NBA trade deadline. Last week we were a little demoralized by the NBA season, kind of getting through that mid-season rut, and just like bam, I was at the mountain today. Woj bombs like bam, 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 bam. You know, it's everywhere. I don't even need shams. I got Woj, my number one. You know what I'm saying? But before we get into that, Lucas, you just poured yourself something. What do you got going on?
Little Woodford Reserve, courtesy of the old RH. You know, just dropping bombs on us. So I'm very happy with this bad boy.
The Woj bombs. That's the only bombs we allow on this day. It's a sacred holiday.
It is a sacred. I should get the day off.
I had the day off. It was perfect. Just got on the gondola, checked my phone, was on the middle of the runs, and I was just pulling my phone out. It was fantastic. Dave's still waiting on his beer, so he'll probably have it by check my wristwatch tomorrow morning. And I'm taking it easy today. Having a little glass of wine, had a couple margaritas, a painkiller or two. Drink. It's a drink, thank you. But let's get into this NBA trade deadline, and let me tell you, nothing I thought was going to happen happened. So I loved it. I jinxed the NBA for a good way. We're going to start off with the most important trade of this entire trade deadline. Are you guys ready?
Well, you better not say what I think you're saying, or what I think you're going to say.
Marquise Chris is going to San Antonio for Katie All right, I don't even know who the other person is. No, I'm just kidding. We're going into Nikola Vucevic, all-star NBA center for the Orlando Magic, going with his friend Al-Farouq Aminu to Chicago. Chicago made a trade. I saw some stats. Chicago has made like 2 trades to get players in the last decade. And every other trade is to cut cap.
I can't really think of any because going back, all their best players and stuff like that, they all drafted.
It was like John Salmons.
I don't know who
Wait, Otto Porter?
Yeah, and Otto Porter was the other one. Those were the 2 trades. That's it. That's all they've done. But finally, they made some move. They got rid of Garpax. They sent out Otto Porter, the other guy that they traded for. Wendell Carter Jr., 2 future firsts. I believe it was, 2023 and then 2025. And the 2025 is lottery protected or something like that.
I don't know. I thought it was 21 and 23.
21, 23. I'm thinking of a different trade. I'm thinking of the second round draft picks. And so I like this trade.
Mm-hmm.
I think I like it for both teams. I mean, the Magic get another center, which they always crave. They can never have enough centers on that team.
Yeah.
Vucevic on Chicago is cool. I think the firepower this team has is gonna be kind of crazy. They're going Brooklyn Nets style. Of just being we're gonna score 130 a game. They're not as good. But it could be really fun.
I mean, it might be fun, but I actually love the trade, but it's more because I think that Wendell Carter is not that good.
I don't know. I think you have to roll the dice, right?
Yeah.
If you're... It does feel weird because it almost feels like Orlando went into the trade deadline saying, all right, if we're going to trade Voos, we need a starter, we need a young prospect, and we need 2 firsts. And that's just what they got out of that trade. And I don't know if any other team was going to offer that criteria. It does because I feel like you're right. Like Wendell Carter, he's been in the league for 3 years now. He's basically been the same player since he's got here. He hasn't really shown much improvement, but it's not like he's like washed or bad or anything. He's just like a 10-7 guy that
Yeah.
gets a block every other game, basically.
Yeah,
But yeah,
it's not like he's putting a 10-7 with like amazing defense. It's just kind of like meh defense.
he's still only 21, so that's like
Yeah.
he's got upside. I'd rather have him playing than Bamba like any day of the week, unless you're in like super tank mode. I don't know if you ever want that guy on the court.
Yeah, no, it's not pretty.
I like the Otto Porter side of it too, because like you're rolling the dice on. I want to say he's like 28, 29 still. Like I feel like
27.
27.
He's
Oh,
turning
there you go.
28. He's turning 28 this year.
So
I
he's
would
in
guess
that.
he was like 32.
He's still in that zone of like he could hit his peak if he came back from injury correctly and be like, all right, I could be on the Magic for the next 6 years, right? I can rebound.
He's
I don't know.
auto
I think it's good for the Magic.
he's automatic 40% 3-point shooter. He had that one career year when he got a huge Kobe Bryant style contract where he got half his salary up front for
That's such a baller move.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie.
It's like day one of the season. Hey, here's like I think it's like $16 million. And then after that he gets paid.
I was
Chump.
gonna say something dumb, like
Classic.
would you
Yeah,
rather
it's not surprising.
like I was thinking about taxes. Like, would you rather you know how he front load? I thought he front loaded like more than half of it.
It might be like
Would you
close to
rather spread
70%.
out? But like, he's gonna have to pay so much tax on that. Why?
Think
Why
about the
even
tax.
Why
bother?
why even play
Why even
basketball?
bother?
Like what's
Why
the
even
point of
bother?
being an NBA
bother?
team?
Yeah.
This is a running joke. We'll explain it one day, but I can't for now.
One day.
I mean I guess it doesn't technically really matter. You're gonna pay the tax and you pay the tax.
Does it make the Bulls like a definite playoff team now?
I mean,
I would say so. I think they're
I
they're
would
as
also
in.
say so, but it's kind of like, yeah.
so they're currently a game and a half out of the 8th seed. They're in the play-in right now.
Mhm.
So
I don't think they drop because Toronto got worse.
who?
Indiana's falling apart.
But what team are they gonna knock out? The Celtics,
Probably Celtics aren't very good.
the Hawks, the
Well,
Knicks.
and the Magic wanted Brown and two first, I think, for Vucevic for the Celtics.
Really, I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot. But I've
Right?
seen Celtics fans are turning on Jalen Brown. I don't know if you've seen this, but the sentiment is he's the worst off-ball defender in the league. He doesn't play on off-ball defense. He only plays
All I can
on-ball
say,
defense because he scores so much now. He
He-
doesn't feel like he needs to play
There it is,
off-ball defense.
the classic.
Oh
I can
no!
say if the Celtics want to trade Jalen Brown for Obi Toppin and Kevin Knox and no picks,
I
yeah.
still have the empty bag of chips over there that I
Yeah,
will trade
there we
for
go.
Kevin Knox if he
Well,
ever
what's
comes
the
available.
Kyle Korver trade? Just the fax machine.
And they need money for
Yep.
fax machine. Yeah. I mean, I like the trade. The idea of Zach LaVine, Vucevic pick and pops and pick and rolls is kind of terrifying.
I think it kind of solidifies a question that we had at the beginning of the year of if the Chicago is going to move forward with Levine or not. Like that was always a thing. Like,
Yeah, he's
is Levine
he's
gonna
saying.
commit to them.
Yeah.
I think
Mhm.
this was like we're committing to you. This isn't the old Chicago Bulls. Like that they're just gonna flip people like crazy, right? Like
I wanted the Lonzo trade to get pulled. I
I don't
wanted
know
it.
what the cost was gonna be for
It was
Chicago because
it was marketed in a first, which I don't think you do. I don't think you take it. I don't think you do it.
I don't think you do either. I would like to roll the dice once with Markkinen and Voos next to each other. Like I don't know why people are so low on Markkinen. He
I
had a really good rookie year,
I think it's
and then
more he hasn't been staying healthy and he's just like not consistently. It's kind of like the way people see Gallinari is he's like a 20-point a night scorer, but he's not a 20-point every single night. Like his bad nights are really rough and not.
you know what? Now
Exciting.
I get it. I get why the Pelicans wouldn't want him. Like at first, I was like marketing, like it was marketing at first, and then more, whatever. Like
No, I think it was just
No, I
marketing
think
at
that was
first
a yeah.
was like the minimum.
I guess marketing wouldn't make any sense. Like so, he's like
Next
a
to
good
Zion,
asset,
kinda.
but he's not next to Zion and Ingram. It's like two guys that you
Mhm.
really should have at the four. Then you're gonna add your third best player is also a four. It's like it's
Well,
way too much of a log. It's even a logjam where you can't even show off him at like you can't show him off at any point to sell him to someone else because you got to have both your guys playing that position anyway. So you can't even showcase marketing. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I would do that.
it'd be the same thing Chicago's doing, where you just go, we're not going to play a lick of defense, and we're about to get into an NBA where every night it's like 120 to
Everyone's gonna
130.
play zone,
Horrendous.
just
Horrible.
zones.
Yeah, they're not gonna.
We
They're
got
just
it.
gonna be like, okay, we'll try.
So it's gonna be players pulling up from 35 and
I love it. I love it. It's so fun to watch.
not
Sarcasm.
me.
All right. So what's the next trade?
So I'm gonna move over to another trade the Orlando Magic made, and it's Aaron Gordon to the Denver Nuggets. So it's Aaron Gordon and Gary Clark, big asset there, for Gary Harris, RJ Hampton, which I think is the big piece in this, and a first round draft pick. So the Magic have gotten 3 first round draft picks and 2 trades so far. They made one more trade later on. I really like this trade for the Nuggets because it's like that switchable player that Gary Harris was supposed to be, but he kind of just like he slipped 2 years ago, and his offense is just not what it ever needed to be. It was a struggle. And the idea that they can run like a Jamal Murray, Will Barton, Aaron Gordon, Michael Porter Jr., and Nikola Jokic 5 is terrifying to me. And I freaking love it. But I still don't think the Nuggets did enough at the trade
No.
deadline. I think they were 1 trade away. And the fact that they had to give up Gary Harris and RJ, I know Gary Harris is probably to make the salaries match for both of them. Although I'm not so I'm gonna be honest, I'm not a big Gary Clark fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I'm
You
just
watched
gonna.
his career.
No, I'm not. I haven't. So I'll go pull up his stats real quick. 3 points a game, 3 rebounds, 30%, 28%, 80% in 18 minutes a game. I wouldn't say a lights out shooter that they got in to be on the bench. I do like this trade though. Aaron Gordon there, I like. I'm happy they got him.
No, I think it's a good trade, but I also think I really don't know how to gauge the Magic's front office because this one also just feels like a criteria trade, like the last one. Like RJ Hampton, they needed cap filler. Then their goal was I want a young guy and a pick, and that was it. Because like if you go to
Yeah,
look at RJ Hampton, you can't even say like you know
he's
oh
shown
you don't
flashes.
watch you don't watch Nuggets games, you don't know RJ Hampton. He doesn't play. Like he doesn't play at all, and then when
No,
he does, he doesn't do anything. So it's like he's still in the mystery box kind of category of like he was our first round pick. He's still kind of a first round pick
we
that kind of
sneaked
has
him.
NBA experience. You know, it could be anything kind of if you mold him the right way. So it's like they didn't really get much back other than cap filler and a first, and then maybe I don't know what you consider like a
I mean,
half season of a rookie, like a half
I mean,
first.
RJ Hampton though was like he was like one of like before like coming out of high school and stuff, he was like one of the top picks. So I think if like if you get a player like that, that's a player that's worth it to roll the dice on. Even like if he wasn't drafted as high as he maybe should have been, like coming like if he would have came straight out of high school maybe. But
yeah.
it's a player that I think worth it to roll the dice on.
Well,
Because
I don't
there's a
think there's
reason
gonna
why
be a
he was
lot of
so highly
there's
like
yeah, no, I agree. I just don't think like I don't know if there was a lot of demand for what the Magic wanted for Gordon. Like a lot of teams, it's always every year a team wants Gordon, but they're never going to give up a first and a young guy. And I just feel
Yeah.
like this hit the minimum criteria of what the Magic are going to trade for.
He's filling in that Jeremy Grant spot of like that kind of wing defender scorer.
Non-defender though.
I mean, we've only ever seen him in Orlando. I think that's going to be the big thing.
You're talking about Gordon.
Gordon, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about Hampton. I was like, I don't think
No.
Hampton's like Jeremy Grant.
No. I was talking about like why the trade. I mean, like you make this
sense.
like no one else wanted to do this trade. Like there was rumors of the Celtics, which we'll get to. Marcus Smart and like 2 firsts for Gordon, but honestly,
way too much.
We'll get to the Celtics front office. I think it's perfect. It's like Michael Porter Jr. was their project. And he's starting to develop into something, and you need to just the projects are no more when you have Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr., and Jokic. You cannot do any more projects. You need NBA players. You need someone to get going. The time is now. That's it. I like it.
Maybe I'm just super low on Aaron Gordon because I don't think it makes the Nuggets really any better. I think it's kind of just like a.
I mean, I guess is he better than Gary Harris?
Yeah. So I guess all right. So I guess technically it makes them better, but I don't think it's like leaps and bounds makes them better. I don't know. So I just did some advanced stats digging, and Aaron Gordon defensive win shares for this year is 0.7. The highest he's ever gotten is 2.
Don't start with me with defensive win shares. None of that matters. Defensive.
I'm gonna toss it all out because the Magic are so bad, and I think.
But just watching him though, he doesn't play defense.
But I think it's the prototypical. You're in the East. You're in a bottom 5 team, and you look horrible. Like you just look terrible. You don't care. You don't get like he dropped like what 38 the other day on someone's team.
He averages only 14 points a game this year.
It was a desperation move. To be honest, it was a desperation move out of Denver, though. Like they really screwed up letting Grant go, and they clearly screwed up letting Plumlee go. Right? Like so, they have to bite the bullet and trade away assets to. I don't even like. They're sending away assets to just cover up their mistakes from 6 months ago. So it kind of sucks, but it is a desperation move just to get back to the standard you were last year.
Yeah.
Like,
but
they're like, okay, we need to at least get back to the conference finals to justify letting these 2 guys go. So we way overpaid for both these guys. Not way overpaid, but we had to pay for them.
I guess
was more than what we had to pay for Grant.
I guess but the thing at the end of it is Gordon is on a nicer contract than Gary Harris, frees up a little cap. They weren't even playing RJ Hampton anyways. Who knows if he's like it's a risk. They're
in win now mode.
They are, and they should be. I mean 44%, 37% from 3. He's going to get passes from Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic now. I think we're going to see some weird Aaron Gordon games, and I'm excited.
I don't think so. He's always said that he thinks that he's like an all-time scorer like Durant and stuff like that.
But he's going to be wide open now.
He always said that though. I know, but he's always said that though, and he's never been.
It will be nice having passes from Jokic.
I think all of his percentages are going to go up.
Yeah. I'm throwing the F word on the Nuggets still. Fraud.
They've made it farther than the Clippers have ever made it in their entire existence of being a team. Speaking of the Nuggets, who are a Western Conference finalist, they made one other trade. They made the JaVale McGee trade, and they traded with Cleveland Cavaliers. They gave up 2 future second-round picks and Isaiah Harlenstein. Yeah.
There you go.
Harlenstein. I really like this because their backup big sucked. Who was Harlenstein? He was not good. They didn't have any other height outside of Jokic and Paul Millsap and Porter Jr. They needed this. JaVale McGee, he's got the championship pedigree, you know. What is he up to?
Oh, shut up.
What is he up to? Three? Three-time?
I mean,
He's a
the
three-time
man
champion?
is like is the best at picking what team's gonna win the
He-
finals.
Teams
Picking vet men's.
teams need JaVale McGee. I love it. It's a good pickup. Yeah,
I actually think it's more important than the Eric Gordon one
no.
because that was their big thing was losing out on Plumlee, was losing out on that big that could go and clog the lane up and stuff like that.
You,
And
sorry, go on.
oh,
No,
go ahead, asshole, laugh
I,
at me.
I wasn't laughing at
What are
you.
you gonna say? Jokic is big and he clogs up the lane.
No, I was actually gonna say in the scheme of looking at like front offices, this was basically like an IOU back to when the Nuggets traded Mozgov for 2 seconds. They just swapped back
Yeah.
their backup big for 2 seconds. It was like, hey, we'll give you 2 seconds. And then 4 years later, 5 years later, they're like, let's just reverse that. And they just swapped back the backup big with 2 future seconds. So it was just like it was just an IOU
welcome
from
back,
years back.
picks.
It's like that was one of those deals that was done in a back alley with like or one of those back dim lit rooms where all the owners go in and they're all like smoking cigars and drinking their really expensive whiskey and he's just like, I want McGee.
It's like,
I'll give you back your seconds.
they're like, all right, cool. He's like, what's a second round draft pick?
I don't know. It's like 500 grand. I think
Damn it.
it's 500 grand.
I mean, I like it. I don't think the Nuggets did enough. I definitely don't think it got them over like to the championship hump. But as we're seeing, a lot of people are getting hurt now, and it's getting a little more open out there. It's definitely a pick me up for the Jokic MVP case. You know, he's getting some better players around him. Maybe make a run up there, a couple seeds higher.
Gotta get to the second seed.
I think
Gotta get up there.
top four. I'm
The
just
league is
gonna.
going downhill.
It really is. Now, I'm trying to pick a fun trade next. Oof.
We could round out the Magic. Talk about the Fournier.
All right. I was looking at that one. So Evan Fournier is moving on from Orlando for Jeff Teague and 2 second-round draft picks. Speaking of seconds, give Celtics another scorer that they desperately need for their ISO ball style that they've been playing recently. Jeff Teague is going to get bought out. I saw that earlier today. I mean, just seems like, hey, Fournier, I think he's expiring. We weren't going to get a first. Cash what you can get. They're going to slide. They're going to slide so hard.
It's a good deal. I think
Yeah.
it's a good deal for the Magic. I really don't know what else they could have gotten besides 2 seconds.
Yeah, they weren't getting a young player or anything for a 1-year rental.
It definitely feels like Ainge got bailed out. It kind of feels like off because Fournier is like a 20 point per game scorer. Like he ranges between what like 16 and 20.
Yeah, I think he's
19.7 this year, and last year was 18.5. So it's high teams he's scoring every night. So it's close to 20.
He's always been a good 3 point shooter. Like he could actually be a really solid piece for the rest of the season. I think like the big red flag is that they traded Tice away, right? In the process.
No.
So like what do you do at center? Like
Yeah, what do you do what the hell are you gonna do at center?
Mo Wagner, baby, scoring 140 a game. Done.
At the time, you got Time Lord, right? And then you've got
the most
Thompson,
the most hated player on the Celtics.
Yeah, which the Celtics locker room does not like
You know,
Tristan Thompson anymore. And so what do you got? You got Mo Wagner and Time Lord as your centers. Like that scares me.
One can play only defense and can't do anything on the offense, and then one can only play offense and can't do anything on the defensive side of the ball.
It's like a really, really terrible version of Marcus All and Montrezl Harrell.
Right? Yeah.
It would have just been crazy if they had like a Miles Turner caliber player on their team.
If
Yeah.
only they had that.
God, that might be the worst. Like not pulling the trigger.
So the Celtics keep being in this position at the trade deadline where their hands are in every single player, but they're not pulling the trigger on anything. They're not getting like the Victor Oladipos. They're getting Fourniers. They're giving up. Like it just feels like they keep not taking the next step. I mean, at some point, do you move on from Danny Ainge regime and kind of like take the next step into something different? Because it feels like it's not working.
I mean, how can you say it's not working though when you've been to 2 Eastern Conference Finals?
But
You have
because the window eventually shuts, and I
yeah, but I
think
feel like you wait until the window shuts
I
to can somebody who's brought you to 2 Eastern Conference Finals.
well, isn't it almost so? It's not completely shut, but now you're setting up. Okay, Brooklyn's down down the street from us. Philadelphia's taken the next step, and like I mean, the Celtics are almost. I know they've had like COVID issues and stuff, but I mean, like the Nets have also been missing Durant a quarter of the season, and Kyrie just keeps going on
The Nets
vacations.
are like a 2 year thing. That's it.
But that's the window. The windows keep opening and closing. Like they had the Eastern Conference
Oh,
runs, but they didn't. They lost to the window last year was Miami. They should have won that series. At some point, like getting to the conference finals is nice, and they keep being like almost there. But then now they lost Hayward, and now they're definitely a step back. And Kemba's knees are going. Like eventually, like yes, Tatum and Brown are getting older, but guess what? It's the NBA, and these guys aren't like destined to be in a franchise forever.
yeah,
They're
but Tatum and Brown just signed extensions.
that doesn't mean
That
anything though.
will
For like
what
for 3 more
for like
years.
4 years for
Yeah.
4 more
Okay. So
years.
they're there 2 more years, guaranteed. Maybe.
You think players are going to go and demand trades with 2 years still left?
Absolutely.
Harden just did.
Yeah, but Harden doesn't count
Anthony
though because
Davis had 2 years left essentially,
he had 1 year and like a quarter of a season left.
but he's like essentially like a quarter through the season. He was like, I'm out. But like,
I think the worst example is Paul George, right, on OKC.
yeah, he ends.
He signed the 4 year, stayed 1 year, and then dipped out.
I think the windows are so much smaller now, and I think that's like you either need to start making some big moves and get these guys. Like I know they're still young, but also does it seems like the Celtics are not like I agree when they were going to the Eastern Conference Finals, like they seemed like a
Last year.
but they just don't seem like a team that wants to play together. Like
They
I
were really struggling this year.
like it just doesn't seem like a fluid team anymore. And I don't know if that's like they are missing Hayward and he was a bigger piece. Like they've had bad luck, but it just feels like I'm saying I guess more like they haven't wowed me, and I think like the Miles Turner move, like you literally just like got a trade exception for Hayward and you used it for Fournier, essentially.
I don't think they
Well,
can move Ainge though. Like, I think at this point, Ainge has engraved himself so much into
Well,
Boston
he has the
that
lore, yeah.
right. So like, it has to come to the point now where it's not the missed opportunities, because like if that's the thing, like ownership is gonna have to look like, okay, what are all the mistakes he could have made? Didn't pull the trigger on, like the Frank Kaminsky and the Winslow trades.
It wasn't that he didn't pull the trigger on the
He didn't
Winslow
pull the
trade.
trigger
They
when he
didn't pull the
achieved it.
yeah.
Right. So like that didn't formulate. That never happened in the end. So like he gets a pass on that. I think the only way he gets kicked out of Boston is if he screws up Brown and Tatum's timeline like so severely. Like if he's like, all right, I'm in this year. Like this is it. We're rolling the dice. One of them are gone. Right, and it would probably be Brown. And I
Yeah,
think
I
it would
think
be like I think the trades that would decide his future are if this year he traded for Harden, and Harden actually is freaking killing it. So it would have been probably great in the end if
yeah.
he traded for Harden. And if they made it to the finals, like if they made it to the finals, I think his job would have been fine. But if they got bopped in the second round, I think that would be a tick on Ainge's like career career box list or whatever, and be like, well, this is a fireable offense.
Yeah.
Like that's a fireable offense. And I don't think I think right now Ainge is in protect job mode and not like he's way too worried about getting fired, I think, right now to making those moves.
He's
Because I almost think even the Hayward trade, I think he demanded too much on purpose to not see a mistake go through. And I don't think he actually wanted a direct competitor to get
Hayward.
one of their best three players. Yeah. Like Hayward would dominate on the Celtics right now, right? Like
Yeah.
he just would, and he doesn't want the Pacers to be successful, right? So he wasn't going to give it to the Pacers. That's just how it feels to me. Where I think him not getting Miles Turner, like he doesn't even think about that as a loss because he's like, it would have been significantly worse if we had to play these guys in the playoffs with Gordon Hayward. So he just sent him basically to the shadow realm of Charlotte,
Of Charlotte.
and that it's going to backfire because they're better than them right now.
They're like aren't they like a 4 seed right now?
If Charlotte gets to the second round, is losing Gordon Hayward a fireable offense? Like, it wouldn't be the fireable offense, but would it be something where it's like in
Think so.
5 years, ownership's like, you let a 20 to like 24 point per game scorer in his prime go? Check mark. Like, you did that wrong.
I'm gonna say no.
No.
Because I think Hayward was just gonna leave. I think Boston was tainted for him, and I think it was just like misfortune. He kept getting hurt. He was promised like a star role, and then they got like Tatum and Brown, who are awesome players, to just appeared, and now he's like, look, I'm not a third, fourth string. I'm like the guy, and I'm gonna carry a team, which is, I mean,
happening.
he's killing it right now. I don't know. I just
think it's crazy that you say that window can only be for so long when their two best players are 22 and 24.
But look at the Thunder. They went once, and then their window just shut.
Oh, you know what? That's a good hypothetical situation. All right. Say the season ends the way it's projected, and the Celtics end like double digits, 10 games below 500 to end the season. And then next year, they get to the same position they are now, but instead of being only like 2 games below 500, they're like 6 games below 500. And now it's like this downward trend of being like, all right, Tatum and Brown, like they aren't like this isn't working. We can't just keep like we see how the downward trajectory of like both these guys together are going to be. In comes Sam Presti and goes, "Wow, Jaylen Brown, that's a nice guy.
It was
How's
a complete
how's
opposite of what he did.
how's 3 first-round picks? Does
How's
that sound good?
you
Does
want
that sound good to you?
you want
And then
4?
you want 4, how's Tatum? How much is Tatum? 5? How
I'll
much do you
I'll
want
give you
for?
7 for Tatum right now.
And I'm telling you, that's what's going to happen. Is next if this keeps happening, this time next year, Presti is going to pull the trigger, and it's going to look so freaking stupid. And Tatum's going to go for like 5 firsts in 2 seconds. They're going to be like, Ainge fleeced them, and then all of a sudden the Thunder are going to have like they're going to ship off all the firsts
They'll have like
and
SGA
all
and
the second.
Tatum,
Yeah,
and
SGA, Tatum. They're gonna have some other like
they're gonna draft
depreciated
4
asset.
players who
That's
are
it. They're gonna
gods.
they're gonna draft a guy this year that's gonna be nasty or probably I don't know. They'll draft well. They always do.
I
But
guess
I think that's a worry for the Celtics.
we'll lead in to what I was trying to get at. I was trying to build a little conversation here, down Conversation Street, to another team in the East that got better than the Celtics today. The Heat.
Ooh.
The Miami Heat added Victor Oladipo for Kelly Olynyk, Avery Bradley, and a draft swap. So I just want for all the fans out there who are listening to the NBA cap to know that James Harden went for Avery Bradley and Kelly Olynyk.
Draft swap.
And a draft swap. I just want to go back on record, and I want to say, I fucking told you so. I hated
And
Tucker went for more.
The best player, like the best young player, didn't even go to their team. I went to the Pacers.
I'll even trump that. He went to the Cavaliers, and he's gonna get paid $100 million.
Jared Allen.
Yeah,
Oh, Jared Allen is also sick.
I think he might be the best player in that trade, outside of James Harden, obviously. Long term. They also added Nemanja Bjelica.
Wow, you botched all.
Yeah, I
of
did.
that.
Yeah, that wasn't
Bjelica. For Mo.
Valencia.
I don't know if that's even right.
Valencia.
Yeah, that's how you say it.
Valencia. There's no N.
That's how you pronounce it. I don't know the rules.
There's no N in the name.
I don't know how else
Unless,
to tell you this.
okay, whatever. They traded away Mo Harkless and Chris Silva. So they added Victor Oladipo and the guy Felicia. I can't do it. I don't know. Call me Bill. I don't know. So the Heat are now rocking Goran Dragic, Victor Oladipo, Tyler Hero, Jimmy Butler, freaking what's his name? Duncan Robinson, Bam Adebayo. They got rid of the racist. They got rid of the other white guy. It's great. They're loving it in Miami.
I mean, Oladipo was going to go there. It was pretty much like, all right, let's just pull the trigger now to make sure that he goes there.
They didn't give up anything.
They didn't give up anything. It's amazing. They basically had a really unpolished team with a bunch of like extra assets, right? Like they have way too many people on their team,
and they didn't lose Hero.
Ariza. Like I wouldn't be surprised if Ariza's gone at some point. But
I mean, they have Iggy too, which I kind of just forget about.
Switchable wings.
That was their goal, like veteran switchable wings. But like, yeah, they lost 4 guys this trade deadline. Only took back 2 that are significantly better than all those assets. 3.
Well, I mean, they took Ariza. They took the guy. Yeah.
Okay, I was just thinking about it today.
Yeah.
I mean, they're gonna.
Bradley.
They're probably gonna solidify themselves as a 4 seed here shortly.
I mean, if they're all healthy, like say for the rest of the year, like I don't know why they just don't cruise through the East.
They'll be the solid 4 seed. They can't crack top 3, but
in the West, and I would put them against anybody in the East, right? Like if the Nets keep alternating which superstar is going to play tonight, like I don't see why that doesn't give the opportunity to the Heat to just crush through. Unless the Heat are going to play like a top 5 team in the West, they should be fine.
Yeah,
like, I mean, they're gonna give them trouble. Like Milwaukee's gonna give them trouble. Philly's gonna give them trouble. But like, they're gonna have a fighting chance.
Dude,
they might not have a fighting chance against the West, but
Milwaukee
East,
would
maybe.
Milwaukee would die if they had to play the Heat in like the first or second round.
In like the second round,
I would.
Getting real spooked. Repeat, finals repeat. I mean, they had a lot of time to rest. Their boys got COVID. Can't get COVID twice, right? So we're in this.
You can't catch COVID in a 90-day span. I just want people to know that because I've known people who've caught COVID like 4 times already.
We don't promote fake news on this podcast.
No, I have my first vaccine shots. We're good. We're Gucci.
I can't get mine till the end of April.
Yeah, because you're not an essential worker.
Yeah, be essential like me.
I used to be essential. I had paperwork.
I have paperwork. All right. So you guys like what the Heat did? What are you thinking?
I'm going to put out a future for Suns Heat finals. That's what I'm going to do right now.
Lucas, you see that lighter next to you? I want you to take your money. I want you to light the lighter and just put the money under the lighter. Don't actually do that. That is a federal crime.
I don't know if Adam Silver would like that. I don't think he can do back-to-back years of really terrible viewership of the finals. You know, like
we're gonna get a David Stern, or it's like Kings, you will not be in the finals.
It was like it had the worst viewership of so many years of basketball.
You know, I think it just had to do with people kneeling. Yeah.
Alrighty then.
I mean, no, honestly, I've seen so much stuff on Facebook about people getting upset about college basketball players kneeling. When Georgetown kneeled,
I don't think that
they don't watch.
Even watches basketball.
But it's those people who are like real fans are gonna watch the game, and then there's like the way the ratings get up is like the people who are like, oh, I'll just turn it on. It's NBA Finals. That's kind of cool. But they're just the people who just don't. No, there's not a lot of them. It's all right. We don't want you.
I
So
slipped. I poured too much in my glass.
that's not a slip. That's a yeah.
Freudian slip, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
When he didn't mean to do something and he did it anyway.
Yeah. So let's go into the next big blockbuster trade. When you guys said, yeah, they're not going to get a lot for Norman Powell in our text messages, and they got Gary Trent Jr. and Rodney Hood, which wasn't a lot, but it was decent.
Yeah. I was gonna say, what are you talking about? Rodney Hood, like, is torn everything in his legs.
Yeah, but Gary Trent Jr. is cool. He's
Gary
like
Trent Jr. is cool,
like
but
10 threes a game, kind of cool, all the time.
I can't believe they actually traded Gary Trent Jr.
That was my initial reaction. Actually, was a little shocked because he did the whole Jimmy Butler bet on himself. He didn't take. They offered him like, what was it, 4 years, 60? They offered him 15 a year, and he's like, I'm gonna bet on myself and I'm gonna do better. I don't think he did better than what he did in the bubble. And the bubble, he was this like, freaking 3-point wizard. Him and Duncan Robinson couldn't freaking miss.
Yeah, the bubble is good for people.
I think they went with the guaranteed better guy, I guess, right now. I still think Gary Trent was like, he has the potential to be like a solidified three.
But I'd rather
But
get the guy
he's
who's
not as consistent. And right now, Powell is not only like a win now player, he's also significantly younger than I thought he was. I always assumed he was like almost 30, but he's like 26 or something. Like
he's
He's 27. I just looked it up because
he's
I
turning
thought the same
28.
exact thing.
I thought during the Raptors finals, I thought Powell was like a 30-year-old shooting guard. I really
Mhm.
screwed that one up. Nope, he was just really young and he just wasn't good. He wasn't old and really good. He was young and not really good. So it was like the opposite effect. But I think they made a good move. It's just it kind of sucks because Rodney Hood was like their redemption story, but he's not playing very well. Um,
No.
it's a good move because I think the reason that they went for Powell and not a big was because I think Nurkic is coming back soon, and I
Yeah,
think they're confident
I
with
think he
Nurkic.
Next week. When
Oh,
it's
is it next week?
Wednesday. It's whenever they play the Magic. I know he's coming back.
Okay, I didn't know it was that soon. That's perfect.
yeah, he's close. I mean I like the trade. He's the man's gonna get paid here shortly, but
Yeah. I mean, but that was the thing. Like Trent, either one was gonna have to get paid this offseason. So it was like, who do you want to pay? And I think that was the weird issue also with Toronto. Like, why did Toronto make this move? Also,
um
like
Trent Jr.'s younger, follows the same age as Siakam and
I,
OG, maybe.
I think
I don't know.
I think they thought there was a
uh,
Kyle Lowry trade on the table.
maybe they were thinking about, and they needed the space to take someone back, or no, because they
No,
gave up.
I
They took back a slot. Never mind.
I think they just thought there was gonna be a player. I think
You
they
know what
thought there
they
was a
could have
trade.
done? They could have also used that trade to make a 3-team trade to like ship off Gary Trent as well. They
Use
could have
it like
expanded it at the time. Yeah, maybe a Lowry trade really did fall through, and that was just part of it. And now they're like, well, we weren't going to pay Powell
from
anyway.
everything I'm seeing is they were asking way too much for Kyle Lowry for a
They
one
wanted
year.
Tyler Hero.
Ridiculous.
They wanted Talon Horton Tucker. Are you kidding me? I'm
That was the
sorry.
funniest part. The Lakers were fine with giving up Schroeder and
I don't
Yeah.
KCP,
I don't think that was
but
true.
weren't okay with Horton.
I don't believe that rumor. I honestly don't. I'm sorry, but like I don't want to give up two good players for a 35-year-old. Yeah, I get he's thick, but
But you've seen that ass though.
he just turned 35 today.
That ass is ageless.
I would have lost my mind. I literally said to Lucas like yesterday. I was like, I would have lost my mind if we traded for Kyle Lowry. I would have.
I'm putting it
Really?
in, boys.
Yeah, I would have. If we gave up Schroeder and Caldwell Pope, Suns, $20.
Bring it in. $20.
Here, you want me to get a 20 out of my drawer and just burn it for you? You can Venmo me.
Miami, Phoenix Finals 20 to win 3 grand. It's in.
You should put $20 on Nikola Jokic to be the MVP. That's real
Negative
money.
odds now. That's terrible, but
Is it negative odds? Oh god, could you imagine getting like plus 2,000? That would be insane, dude. God, you would be a brilliant basketball mind if you did that.
try to get plus 8,000 on the Suns and just be ready to retire. That's
What
what
was
I'm
it to
at.
make the playoffs?
No.
No, it
Finals.
was
What
to
was to
win the
make the
finals.
playoffs? Didn't you do make the
Negative.
playoffs
No, because
as well?
it was like minus like 170 for the Suns to
Oh,
make the playoffs. Yeah, CP3 has a real effect on Vegas.
oh
It's
yeah.
Do you guys, Dave, are you sitting down? We're gonna go into another Western Conference team here.
Oh, I can't wait for this one because I have
So,
hot takes.
so the Clippers have two-time NBA champion Rajon Rondo, and they gave up 2 second-round draft picks and Lou Williams. Just pass it off to you. What do you think?
I mean, it's amazing for the Clippers because
Lou's trash.
no, he is not trash. All right, fine. I'm gonna go with my B argument first because you're an asshole. Lou Williams on a team that needs scoring and needs to go and have a super good premise is
Presence.
very valuable. Who will just take over the ball and just get buckets. That's Lou Williams. Lou Williams, the Clippers don't need that from Lou Williams. They need a floor general, which is why Rondo is the perfect fit because you have already ball stopper in Reggie Jackson. Kawhi just gets to his spot and scores, which is good. But if you don't have other people moving the ball around him, that's not good. And that's what having Lou Williams did. And replacing Lou with Rondo is going to make the biggest difference, I think.
um, this kind of. Oh, you want to go into it? Oh, you're no. Okay, all
He's
right.
dying.
Stopping,
It's 9
sorry.
over there. My two things. First, this feels like a makeup trade from the Clippers, right? Like they had 17 million cap space and they decided to give it all to Luke Kennard instead of getting it Rondo to start the season. So this is
Bad
we
signing.
screwed up. And secondly, I was not on the Lou Williams hate train. I don't hate him, but
Yeah,
I
like
think he's ascended from competent NBA player to NBA folklore, right? Like it's
the
all
Jamal Crawford effect.
exactly. He's gone from actual NBA player to we need to respect this old man. Real like this is what's happening right now because he's not playing really well anymore. But he is, the guy that's got his one trick pony. He slides, he jumps or whatever to the left, and he does that awkward shot that no one can guard, right? And
Yeah.
it hits like
Mm-hmm.
40% of the time. But I don't think he's really a player that's good on a playoff team anymore. Like, and if he is your best option, something went wrong in constructing your team. And I think his value right now, like Rondo and Lou, their age and where they are in their career, like neither one should be should be traded for assets, right? Like Rondo got 2 seconds and now Lou is cap filler. Like I
Yeah.
don't know what that actually says about Lou's value, and it almost means like it feels super desperate from the Clippers, and it also feels like
I mean,
to a degree giving up by the Hawks. Like I don't think this actually screams positivity from either team to me. Like to me, the Hawks are like, we spent all this money in the offseason getting gunners, and now we need more gunners,
I think it was
but
just
now
more like
we're
the
also giving up on the asset that we promised to pay 18 million to the next 2 years. Like
the
first we gave up on our promise on Rondo. Now we also don't believe in the team that we constructed in the offseason. It's like a double negative for the Hawks. And then the Clippers are like, well, we fucked up not getting Rondo. Now we have to send away 2 future assets for Rondo for a
yeah,
year.
but they need to do when you say desperation though and stuff, they're 110% desperate because this could be the last year of Kawhi.
That's
And
true.
I mean, screw it. Like, how many times do we say oh well, second round picks do they even matter? like, I mean, you hit the diamonds in the rough and stuff, but for the most part, they're on the team for 2 years, and then they go to the G League, and then they're gone forever. Like,
Yeah. No, that's right. That's true.
so I think it's 100 like percent, and like 100% desperation on the Clippers part. I mean, why not do it? What else are you gonna lose? Because you might lose Kawhi this year,
That's true.
and might as well throw all the chips at it. And also, just a little sidebar: John Collins hated playing with Trey Young, jacking 30-footers. Imagine how much fun he's gonna have playing with Lou Williams doing step back mid ranges all day.
It's not gonna be pretty. I you know, you say Kawhi's gone. He could be gone. I don't think Kawhi has anywhere to go. Like I don't think he
Find
wants
his
to.
place.
No, I don't think he wants to leave LA. He just bought a new freaking like what $17 million home that's beautiful. Like I think he's
So how
just
long?
like
I'll let you finish.
I just I might say like maybe it's just this Clippers range. Like he just doesn't like he seems like competitive, but I also don't think he really like you know what I mean? He maybe it's just because he's not outspoken. But like he got pissed, but it just doesn't seem like you hear much from Kawhi and just is like I think he's gonna be happy being on the Clippers for like a 5 year whatever $190 million salary. Like
Um,
I don't think he wants to leave LA.
so like, I know you like how you say like, oh well, he just bought this $1 million house and stuff. How long did LeBron have two homes in LA?
But I
Like
mean,
he had it from the Miami Heat days. He had houses in LA
but
and stuff like that.
it was always it was always his destiny to go to LA and settle down there. What if
Yeah,
this
but
is
every player has two homes though. They have a home and where they live in the off season and where like their family is, and then
oh,
where they want to be,
I get
and
that.
then like yeah, because like JJ Redick for example, like on his podcast all the time, he says how much his family and him love Brooklyn, and like that's and but he doesn't live in Brooklyn full time because
Well,
he's
well he did when he was playing for Philly.
yeah. So he committed
He
himself,
only
and then when he went to the New Orleans and
he
stuff.
only went to New Orleans for money. He literally it was like
Yeah.
they offered me too
Mm-hmm.
much. Kawhi's turning 30 this year.
It's gonna be
I
so sad when I can't keep defending Kawhi. I don't
I
know what to do with myself.
I think it's is it not time to cash in a 4 or 5 year contract? He won 2 rings and he might just be like, "Hey, it's going to be me and PG here. We're set. This is the two of us. It's not a 2 year run anymore. It's a 5 year run."
It would be a fun if he does that 20 years from now. He'll look back being like, well, the Clippers team was kind of cool. They had like an edge. Like
Yeah.
Kawhi and Paul George could each drop like 28 every night, but they never could win it all. I think like the next decision for Kawhi will be like, do I want to run it back like this? Do I really think like a mini me is good? If me and a mini me can really carry us to the finals, or like, do I have to find a more solidified team like I had with the Raptors? I think that's got to be a decision, right? Like, I
New
think
York
Kawhi is,
Knicks.
I
New
think
York
Kawhi
Knicks.
is more destined to be on a team that has a like a structure and leadership in place, and he just all he has to be is the glue guy. All he has to be is like the absolute perfect like version of himself, which is weirdly enough like his personality is isolated. All he wants to be is isolated. If you got to give me the ball, I'll go get you a bucket, but like don't ask me to run a play because that's not going to happen. Like don't ask me to do anything other than my ISO ball, me trying to like off ball slash like
Yeah.
and then just play defense. Like, do not have me orchestrate anything. It's like he really does need a team that has like competent point guard leadership or
I mean,
other
he
ball
always
handler
has.
leadership.
Well, and that's why I think the Rondo move is huge because for the first time on the Clippers, they actually have like a real point guard. Because all his so Tony Parker, I wouldn't say that Tony Parker was a ball like scoring first point guard and
No,
stuff.
but
Like he had his
I get what you're
teardrop.
saying.
Yeah, like he had his teardrop and stuff, but he was like pass, run the offense. Kyle Lowry, same exact way.
Yep.
And now he gets Rondo, where Rondo was like that's what Rondo's made his career off of.
It just feels like a lot to put on Rondo because like we all know Rondo has the history to like step up in those
So
moments, but at the same time he's only getting paid 9 million on a really short contract, and ever since he left Boston, it's been like 1 year stopgaps, right? Like
Rondo was perfect last year on the Lakers when he didn't have the ball. He did every little thing around really having the ball. Like he'd get these really good rebounds. But like I don't want Rondo running my offense for like a lot of the game. Like a little bit of the game's fine. Doing the nitty-gritty like he does that, like get some good steals, he'll play some good defensive possessions, like he'll get that rebound. Like I remember one game he was just getting these rebounds, these like touch flick passes. And
he
I want
wastes possessions though. Like he really does.
he does, and he'll take bad shots that are. I mean, playoff Rondo's amazing, but like they did, like kind of what like Lewis said, they messed up with Kennard. Like they're not even playing him. They don't give him enough. Like I don't know if he's just washed, which feels weird because I don't think he is, but it just feels like two ball dominant wings. It just feels like the Celtics. I guess is the same thing, where it's like kind of my turn,
An
your turn right now.
older version of the Celtics.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
just
that's like Bill Simmons was like like screaming from the rooftops. We have the next Paul George and Kawhi Leonard.
It just doesn't
So
work because there's
it's
no
just
any
not.
leadership.
It's you just don't have like a LeBron who's like I got the ball, like I'm I'm gonna carry everything. You guys just do your thing. Uh
or Jimmy.
yeah, I mean Jimmy was crazy in the playoffs last year. Like it was
Isn't it
awesome.
weird? Like I would rather like in a season in a vacuum. It's weird if I wanted to compare Paul George and Jimmy Butler. I don't know if there's a single stat that you could argue is like, well, Jimmy does this stat better, right? Like I think Paul George could do anything Jimmy Butler could do, but then like especially what we saw in the finals, I'm like, I don't know if there's a scenario in the playoffs where I would rather have Paul George over Jimmy Butler.
You wouldn't rather have
Playoff
playoff
P.
P? Yeah.
Like if you had to start a team, like start of the season, no other players. You had to pair Jimmy Butler or you had to pair Kawhi with either Jimmy Butler or Paul George. I'd be like,
Oh
I
my
don't
god, I'd
care.
pick Jimmy Butler 10 out of
I
10.
don't care that Paul George shot like 50-50-90 to start the season. I almost feel like I'd rather have Jimmy Butler just knowing that in the playoffs there's a guy. At the end of the day, I don't think Kawhi Leonard's the guy. Like in the same
So
sense that other superstars are because he's not Kawhi is never and will never like lift up the rest of his team, right? Like he's not that guy. He's not that personality. But what could Jimmy Butler bring out of Kawhi, right? Because could he actually like
Jimmy's the
his
leader.
older could
Jimmy's
his
the
older
leader.
brother beat the shit out of Kawhi Leonard? And I don't think the world would bat an eye. They'd be like, all right, his older brother just beat the shit out of him. Even
Yeah.
though we all know Kawhi Leonard's significantly better than Jimmy, but we wouldn't be surprised if Jimmy Butler was the guy holding the trophy first. I feel like.
Well,
If
first of all,
they
it'd be
won.
J.R. Smith, but it's
Well, we
different.
all know out of nowhere.
Hasn't put
He would come running in with Hennessy and his shirt ripped off.
multiple
Yeah.
time champion.
That's how I feel about Kawhi.
Go ahead, Dave. I know you're ready.
Do you have a rebuttal? Were you mad about what I said?
No, I it's weird to say that Kawhi's not the guy when he kind of showed on the Raptors that he was the guy. Like we've
Wait,
had this argument like many times, so I don't even want to go back into it. But like the prime example is Game 7 against the 76ers. Everybody on the Raptors was scared. Like Siakam looked like a lost puppy out there, and Kawhi's like, I don't care if I have to shoot 50 times. I'm going to make us win this game. And he
Okay.
did.
but
Counter argument. Was
wait,
that just his paid role? Right? Like
he wasn't
as
lifting
a
his teammates up. He lifted the
he was
team.
fulfilling his
It just
actual job, right? Like
No,
he
I 100%
wasn't
agree with. Like I agree with both of you, where it's like that's his job is to do that, and then also where it's like he doesn't lift his teammates, he lifts the team. But like I don't know, like maybe it's just that doesn't work. Maybe you do need a player in person who will lift the players, and it doesn't like lift the team.
I guess we've had, like you said, we've had this, but like I go look at the Clippers roster and I'm like, who's their leader? Who's their guy? You look at the Lakers, it's LeBron. You look at the Suns, it's Chris Paul. I mean, you look at the Sixers, it's Embiid. You look at the Nets, it's like I actually don't know. Durant, it's Harden. I mean, it's any of them. They got a couple of them. They're just buddies. Like any of those guys
Live
can.
and die by Kyrie.
They just circle jerk each other.
Yeah, I mean, like
Leadership group.
it's like it's your day. It's like Leonard or Paul George. I don't even know who wants to like. Neither of them is like Paul George will be like I'm the guy, but I agree. If you put Jimmy Butler on this team instead of Paul George, I mean, we just saw in the finals, he had like two or three of the greatest games in finals NBA history. Against
all because Thibs has prepared Jimmy for this moment his entire life.
But it's, I mean, this is the kind of thing, I guess, like, when we went back to, like, the Anthony Edwards talk, like, Anthony Edwards or Karl-Anthony Towns, like, neither guy really cares enough.
No.
But, like, I would rather take a guy, like, insane talent. I'd rather take a guy like Jimmy Butler, who's just, like, what do we say, like, top, I'd say, like, 15 to 20 player?
I'd say 15.
That 15 range?
Stats wise, I would say 15, but like just like with my heart, I say that Jimmy's a top 10 player. But I know it's like you
I don't
can't make the
Yeah, I don't think I can get there.
You can't make like the statistical
Yeah.
argument for it, but I get what you're
Exactly.
saying.
Yeah.
You can only make like the heart argument, which is like, well, that's just what you believe. I take the stats.
Yeah, so like the 15th best player in the league, I'd rather have over Paul George, who could like statistically be argued higher than him. But like,
You know what, it was 3 years ago, 2 years ago, when Paul George was like in the running for MVP.
it was the Westbrook year. He was like top 3.
Yeah.
But if you actually go back and look at that year, he had like 2 solid months and then he dropped so hard. And it was like he kind of tickered off, and then it was like he did finish with like a 28 points a game, 8 rebounds, 4 assists. But like I mean, that team didn't go anywhere, I guess, in the end of the day.
Sure.
They had the Pacers years, but like he sucked. It still does. Yeah. It's 3 teams. 4 now.
You can make an argument that Danny Granger was the leader of that team and stuff.
West.
Yeah.
George Hill.
George Hill.
Like,
Roy Hilbert.
Squad.
It's not a bad thing to say these guys aren't like leaders. There's only a select few people who can literally like grab people by their bootstraps. I mean, look at the freaking Phoenix Suns. They're the 2 seed right now, and they're probably gonna stay there, if not jump to the 1 seed at some point.
I mean, Chris Paul moved us from like we went 8-0 in the bubble with Rubio, which was like it just showed like what an actual veteran point guard facilitator can do on this team. But like I think right now without Chris Paul, we'd be like the 7th seed at most, honestly.
Like if you still had Rubio.
If we had Rubio and Kelly Oubre and we didn't lose them, we gained everyone we still gained.
You're definitely in this
7th seed. But with Chris Paul, he just changes everybody. And I don't know what it just really is. You need those kind of guys that influence. But that's the thing with the Clippers, right? Like their heart and soul, their leadership the prior year was that ragtag group of Sweet Lou, Beverly, Harrell, and Gallinari. Like that 3 when they came back and took that 1 game from Golden State. It was like the most epic comeback ever. They were down like 28 or something, and they came back. Won it all.
Yeah.
And it was like, this is the team, this is the heart, and look at all the cap space they have. We'll just get two of the top 10 guys in the league, and we'll be great. And then come to find out that the heart and the soul of the team fucking hates these 2 guys. They really they didn't like Paul George so much that they shipped off one of them, right? Like they shipped off.
They actually shipped off 2 of them.
They shipped off Lou. Yeah. They ended up shipping off Lou too. So it was
actually, if you want to make
Gallo.
3, or 4 because Doc Rivers left too.
Doc left. Gallo, they had to get rid of Gallo to get Paul George.
Yep.
So basically everything that made them a solidified unit, they gave up for these two guys that don't play team basketball. That's why I never like. That's why I just can't take this team like super seriously, because you won't ever get to a point in the playoffs where like we got this, right? I mean, they're
I
not
don't
even
trust them. I
not
don't trust them one
not
day.
even the Dallas series. Like that's the thing about
Thought they were
the
gonna lose
Clippers
it.
last year. They weren't even, they weren't even good enough to beat on Dallas, who then ended up losing Porzingis the rest of the series. Dallas took 2 games off of LA for no reason. Like
No,
even though Doncic was nuclear, he's only one guy.
it
There's
should
no
it should have
reason
been a 4-1 series at like
at at minimum,
yeah.
right? Like there's no reason Dallas should have taken 2 games, and then we know what happened with the Nuggets. So it's like I don't trust them until they can actually prove they're not better than the Suns right now. They're not better than Utah. Like they haven't done anything to actually prove that they're an elite team other than just having the names at this point to me.
I would argue they're better than the Suns, but
Well, they're not.
they lost 2 more games. They're the same winning.
They,
They're the same amount of wins.
they don't have the same win percentage.
Yeah, because they lost 2 more games.
Right, they
Because
lost
you
more.
guys don't play because you got COVID.
It's true. You guys are trash.
We're 1 game ahead. But like that's the point. You have 2 top 10 players. You should be a 1 seed over the Suns who don't have a top 10 guy and the Jazz who don't have a top 10 guy. So it's like you have 2 of them. You have no excuse to not be a 2 seed at least.
And my argument going into the year, Kawhi's playing a lot. So it's
They're
like
not backing down with their playing time.
no, he's playing 34 minutes a game. He's played 37 of their. How many games has he actually missed?
He had a serious injury that was never treated properly, and it's been 4 years since that, so he could be fully healthy now. That's what I'm gonna say.
They better
I'm
win then.
I'm always gonna be a conspiracy theorist on that serious injury. Because he seemed to play a lot of games in the playoffs in Toronto a year later. Just saying. It's a little fishy to me that he just left. So he's missed 8 games. That's good.
That's not too bad.
They could just be better. I mean, they're a 3 seed. I think it's time. I think they got to get the.
I'm not discounting.
They got to
I'm
get the
not gonna
one.
discount them until they're out, I guess. And I think that Ron, like speaking about like the leadership thing and everything, maybe it's a what is it, addition by subtraction that you get rid of the last guy who hated Paul George and hated Kawhi Leonard and everything, and you bring in a player like Rondo who like meshed super good with KG and Paul Pierce, meshed super good with LeBron. Like the people that Rondo doesn't mesh with is coaches because he's think that he's smarter than them. I mean, a lot of times he kind of is.
Yeah.
Now he's with Ty Lue.
Yeah, but Ty Lue's just like a
Punch him in
Ty
the.
Lue won't. Ty Lue's not Rick Carmichael where he'll be like, "No, shut up, Rondo. This is my team." Ty Lue be just like, "All right, Rondo, you do what you want. You want to run this set, you run that set."
He's such a punching bag.
Mm-hmm.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay, so what would it take for you to? All right, so you think the Clippers are a top 4 team?
yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think they're a top 3 team?
Mm, they're they're borderline. They're so close, I would say.
I
Okay.
guess
So if they lost in the second round this year,
I wouldn't be
Would
would you
surprised.
say I made a mistake? I think they're like I don't think they were top 3. They were like top 6 or top 7
No,
because
because I cursed them because I said they were going to make the finals.
No, I would probably say that because
Big brain.
if they lose like the Nuggets in the second round again,
yeah,
or if they lose like the Blazers in the second round or something like that, it's like I mean, like Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, you're the best player on the floor for each of those series, and you couldn't win.
yeah,
Like then and I think also a lot of it for like last year, like I know it was like the first year with them and everything, But it seemed like all those players who hated Paul George and hated Kawhi also hated being in the bubble, and were like, we don't want to play.
Right.
And I mean, maybe that did go and cause something in the bubble and everything else.
I think they had
Because
a
it
lot
was
of
like
team
the
drama for
Lakers who
sure.
came out and were, and LeBron was pretty much leading it as like, we shouldn't play because of COVID. And then I feel like with the Clippers, they were like, oh yeah, we shouldn't play because COVID. But in
Mhm.
reality, it was because Sweet Lou needed his wings from his strip clubs, and Harold needed his designer clothes, and like just stuff like that, where it was like, we don't want to be here.
Yeah. Trying to think.
So I think if they have a failure this year, I will officially say that I've been wrong on the Clippers.
I'm just trying to think of
I won't say that I'll be wrong on Kawhi though.
they're like playoffs right now. Round 1, the Clippers
Blazers.
would play the Blazers,
Yeah,
and
that
then
would be.
that would be a hard matchup. I think. I just assume the Blazers are like
Dude,
they're gonna punch you in the face a few games. I feel
what
like
if the Lakers follow the 6th seed and it's LA versus LA in the first round?
it's a real possibility that the Lakers could end up near the bottom, like
Oh
in
yeah.
dangerous. Like I think 6 is probably like the scary point because I don't think you want to dip into the play-in game. I
I
think that's
I
when
don't
real spooky.
no, I don't
Because you
It's
never
four.
I don't
know.
think it bothers
It's 4
them.
weeks. You're gonna have a month without LeBron and AD.
No, I mean like even if we get to the play-in game, I don't think it's like we could beat all
But I
those
don't think
teams
you'd
easily.
want to be there. Is the
When we
thing.
want
Like
to when we want to play Utah in the first round, like easy.
I
Wow.
mean, like
I would be
you see, like
so
right
mad.
now with like college basketball and stuff, where it's one win games and stuff. Like crazy stuff can happen. Like so,
I'm
say the
taking
Lakers do have
LeBron
to play in the
over all of
play-in
them.
game, and what if they have to play the Warriors and Steph just goes nuclear?
I'm gonna go with LeBron. It doesn't
I
matter.
You know what?
understand that, but
I
I'm
didn't
saying
think
though,
about
what
it
if
like that. That would be so goddamn annoying. Like one
right?
game, like because in the NBA teams get like hot for no reason and
All right.
games are
What if
dumb. And I've lost so much money
All
on
right.
dumb
All
games that
right.
should
All
have
right. All
never
right. All right. All
happened.
right. I'll calm
One down
everything.
soon.
No. I'll calm everything you guys have to worry about.
I didn't think about that.
LeBron
Not wanting in the playoff game.
is the NBA. The NBA doesn't want LeBron not in the playoffs.
Oh my God! All the
Yep.
LeBron haters that is part of my army would love it.
That
What if the play-in game is Mavs versus Lakers though? Like, then what
That's
does the
one.
NBA want?
they want
That's one
LeBron.
nuclear game.
They don't want Doncic.
No, they
They
want
don't want
LeBron.
Larry Bird.
No, they want
They
LeBron.
don't want.
They want LeBron.
They don't.
They want
They
LeBron.
have a chance
They
to
want
get
LeBron.
Steph in the playoffs.
They
And they're
no.
not gonna want
LeBron's
Steph?
bigger. LeBron's bigger.
I don't know.
No.
You're asking
It's
like 12-year-old, and they want to shoot like Steph.
It's still LeBron James. LeBron James is gonna be in the playoffs.
All right. No, I
And
think he's definitely gonna be in the plan.
and guess what? The Warriors kind of suck. Not gonna lie. Not gonna lie. The Warriors are not. It's Steph versus the world, and Schroeder is better than him. So
I want Steph to go like
Steph,
17 for 19 from
that's
three
fine.
and just rain on your parade with threes and be like, oh,
That's fine.
oh my God.
It doesn't matter because Anthony Davis will score 50 whenever he
You know that
comes
they
back.
have Draymond Green, who's like one of the best defenders of all time. So
Draymond
if
also
he just
has
doesn't back down and use his size. Like
Draymond Green also has a little bit of a temper, and you know what that works well with? The referee's whistle when he gets ejected from that game, so LeBron could be in the playoffs.
Oh, like when LeBron's 3-1 championship fraud because Drummond or Draymond
Can't control his
LeBron in
temper.
the nuts.
I mean, he did. He's owned it. We're gonna be like a 6th seed. I'm not worried. I want the Clippers round 1. Give it to
You
me.
want the Clippers round 1?
Yeah.
That would
If
actually
I was
be
a Lakers fan, I would
so
not
much
want the
fun.
Clippers round 1.
No, I want to take them. Take out the Clippers. Just freaking decimate them. Not even
You know
worried.
that you're,
Then
like,
move on to
you
Phoenix.
are
Decimate
very
them.
negative
See, I have the same
against the
perspective.
Clippers.
No. I want, because everyone was like, the Lakers had an easy little bubble time. And
You had the
They did.
easiest
To
run.
make
in
it
I'm
Mickey
sorry
Mouse.
that everyone sucked. It's not my
Mickey
fault.
Mouse.
the history of the NBA Finals.
I'm sorry the Rockets blew up their entire roster for Westbrook and James Harden. Guess what?
That's
4-1. 4-1, 4-1, 4-1.
I get it.
That's
You
why
don't
we
get to
win.
choose your competition. I
Hey,
get it.
hey.
It's just, and that's a fact.
The Nuggets,
And
who
the
should
other-
have gone to the Western Conference Finals 2 years in a row, didn't. It's okay.
No, but I get that
Meantime.
sentiment.
No, because you know what? At this point, like, then no one could say a single freaking thing and be like, all right, you guys like slid to a 6th seed, bounced back, dominated. Oof.
Dominated.
Oh,
They,
Lucas, would you be terrified of that though?
and Warriors.
If
I don't
you
know.
had to meet the Lakers in the 2nd round.
No, because I have this. I mean, yes, but the idea is, but I get the sentiment. Like when I look,
I don't think we
playoffs
could
right now,
talk. I don't think we would talk to each other for like a week and a half straight.
I couldn't watch it with you. I'd kill you. It would go like right now. This is how the playoff structure would work for the Suns. Round 1 would be Dallas. That's all I want. I want to beat them into the dirt. The 2nd round would be LA. Bring it on. 3rd round would be the Lakers, and
Okay,
then
that's what I
the finals would be Utah. That's what I want. I actually don't care which order it is. I just need to beat the Mavericks, the Lakers, and Utah, and then get to the finals. And I don't care who we win in the finals. We beat the 3 hardest teams. We beat our rivals, right? We beat the 3 giant assholes in our way, and that's what got us.
What's
there.
gonna happen when you guys get knocked out in the 1st round? Is it just
I'll
pure?
die. I'll
pure?
just straight up die. You know what? I'll just be happy we were there at this point. You know, I'm
Yes.
just glad we participated. No, but if we did lose to Dallas round 1, it would make me more mad than anything has ever made me. I don't think
Can you
it happened.
imagine all the Luca. How
It
could they
would be
take Aiton?
It'd be
over
ridiculous.
Luka?
I mean, we're significantly better than Dallas, so at this point, I'm not really
Yeah.
hurt by that.
I'm not worried. Like I said,
I-
the Lakers could lose their next 10, which they
I
probably
heard
will.
Dallas
I'm not
fans.
worried.
I heard Dallas fans saying that they were envious of the Suns team, and that just made me be like, oh.
Well, yeah. I mean, look at the Dallas roster. I don't like it. I like your roster so much better.
It would be great if they had Seth Curry.
It would be great if they wanted Kyle Kuzma from me. It would be fantastic.
Just a quick aside as we're talking about the Mavs and stuff. Do you guys like the JJ Redick trade?
I think JJ is probably washed at this point. I think it was. I'm gonna say it again because I've said it a trillion times on this podcast. It was a we totally screwed up move, and we need to backtrack on our screw up, which was losing the best 3-point shooter in the league last year, who shot like over 6 attempts a game. We're gonna lose this guy for a guy that we think is more versatile. That actually may be a side note argument that I'll have going forward. Is way too many teams are looking for these just labeled like versatile dudes that don't actually contribute to a single like category of the game at like an extreme level.
Yeah.
Like what elite thing does Josh Richardson do right now? Because if it's
Nothing.
defense, it's not contributing enough because they're giving up a billion points.
It's not defense either.
So it's not 3-point shooting, but he's good at defense. He's okay at 3-point shooting. He's okay at passing the ball. He's okay at scoring.
It was the argument of trying to fit more into Luka's timetable.
It kind of sucks though, because like you want the dude that's the best 3-point shooter in the league because that actually stretches the floor for Doncic, right? Like that actually gives Doncic space.
And
I
maybe
think
that could be JJ again, but
maybe my thought with this argument now is the Aaron Gordon trade is one of those things where they traded for a guy who's an elite.
Yes.
I can do everything, right? Like I can play defense, or at least I have that stamp. I can do it to an average level. I can shoot the 3 at an average level, right? Like he can do everything average, and he's very athletic, and he can play 3 through desperation 5 mode. But like he's not great at anything other than jumping. So like that's where I'm worried that teams are going way towards like we can create the next Draymond, when that's just not possible. Like Draymond was unique those years.
I think JJ will be like, he's just gonna be like a 20-minute a night guy. I think his shooting will bounce right back to that 40%. I just think he was on a weird fitting team that he kind of thought that was gonna make like more sense And then he kind of got pushed back because it was like, oh, these guys are actually really young. They're not ready for what I thought like Zion was gonna be.
I
And
mean, if he could get back to like what he did last year, I mean, that would have fit perfectly with the Mavs. 15 points, 40. I mean, 45% from three is insane.
yeah, I
But
mean,
like, and he played 26 minutes a game. Like, maybe that 26 minutes is a little too much now because he is 36. But I mean, if it's something like that, that would make I feel like the biggest difference for the Mavs.
his workout regime is insane though. Like he's super athletic. I think he can do that. I mean, he just has to get back to that like near 40%. I mean, he's only at 36, but it's
Those 4% is big.
I mean that I guess so. I mean, it's all right. They have to get shooting. I think it's just they're gonna go for scoring again. I mean, they give up what was it? James Johnson, Wes Iwundu, and a second round pick.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing. I mean, James Johnson was just like a tough guy. He didn't really actually do anything.
Is there any more trades? Dave, your team got Terrence Ferguson, Vincent Poirier, second rounder. Just
For literally nothing.
for literally Austin Rivers, who hadn't played in 3 months.
Because Austin Rivers was just with his baby mama for months upon months, and he didn't want to play, even though we had literally no point guards.
He was just didn't want you guys. It's okay.
No,
Just move on, accept the relationship. Before we go, has Sixers they didn't do anything, no? They didn't. Yeah, they didn't make
they
anything.
did.
What'd they do?
George Hill.
Oh, okay. They added George Hill, so
I think that's a hell of a good move.
yeah, they got for nothing pretty much.
Yeah, it was really for nothing.
Yeah, I don't know. It's an okay move in my book because they're finally realizing that these G League point guards cannot save their ass in the playoffs.
I
They
mean,
need an actual point guard.
George Hill was huge on the Bucks. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I guess in the East, we still have to wait because this Drummond contract is now looming out there. Same with the LaMarcus Aldridge.
Oh, please, God. Please. I don't ask for much, God, but please do not get Drummond on the Knicks. That's all I ask for.
I
Literally praying right now.
I am worried that it's going to be LA.
Oh, God, I hope so.
I've got confirmation that it's not the Suns. The GM spoke yesterday about the trade deadline. James Jones, he's a stud. He said that he built this team to not have to be desperate at the trade deadline or the buyout market. And I was like, ooh,
So,
what a comment. What a
Right?
shot at every other team that has to make a move at the deadline.
well,
Like,
James
I built this
Jones
team.
is just like LeBron. I would never take a buyout guy from you. I'm so sorry to ever worry about that. You get your next ring,
Yep.
and then we'll step in next year. We got one more year, and then you get your ring, buddy. I miss you.
You know, there is a dark and twisted timeline where I'm going to just throw this out here.
Okay, this will be.
Bronny James gets
Mhm.
drafted, and he won't be a top 10 draft pick. Conspiracy. This is my conspiracy.
He probably won't be. He's not really like
I
highly touted.
he's gonna go in the 20s. The Suns will take him, and James Jones and Chris Paul, and there's a banana boat ride right to Tempe, Phoenix, boys. We are going to get LeBron James in the golden years of LeBron.
Of like 44.
And
Yeah,
no,
but-
Lucas, this is what you would really be hoping for. Ownership group of LeBron, James Jones,
And Chris Paul.
TP and CP3 buying out Sarver. Now that is the dream. right
No,
there.
you know what? I take it back because I don't want who's the agent. I don't need this to
Rich
be the
Paul.
Rich Paul. I hate
Rich.
him
I don't
too.
need this to be the Rich Paul Phoenix Suns. I don't need it. The Rich Paul Suns would just be a horrible team. It would be like 9 J.R. Smiths. all on
It's like
max contracts.
it's a great time. You just
Dion Waiters.
no,
everyone's drunk all
no.
the time.
It's
I don't need
it's
it.
paying Caldwell Pope like 18 million and then paying him 15 million and then paying him like 16 million. You're just like, why do we just pay him like 60 million dollars?
Yeah, I don't need a. I'm trying to think of what it's called when you're sound like fraud when you're embezzling money. I don't need money just being embezzled to really crappy players in and out all of the time.
Yeah, no, it wouldn't be fun. I mean, I like it. I still don't see a team. I mean, I'd probably have Brooklyn still at like the #1 spot for me to be like the
I
champions.
still have no faith.
Like I still think their just firepower is insane. And seeing that whole roster,
Like
but
the Knicks. Ups in the first round. Calling it right here.
I want to
ups
see it. I mean,
ups
I'm just excited for the playoffs. I need to just fast forward.
yeah, I mean, we're only like what, another month and a half away?
Mhm.
Mid-May. See the Lakers in the play-in tournament win by 40.
Have Steph drop 60 on you.
I'm sorry, but if like 2018 LeBron can almost single-handedly defeat one of the greatest teams of all time, I'm not worried about like freaking
And he
Wiseman. No, he got destroyed by J.R. Smith. J.R. Smith literally ruined him.
No, that's true.
But yeah, I think that's our trade deadline. I mean, only like 16 trades, Woj, but you know, a couple short. Just saying, kind of rude. Couple other like weird Brad Wanamakers, that Marquise Chris trade, another Mo Wagner move, but like
Hey, 10 o'clock, bro.
the big ones are there. Thank you so much for listening to our NBA Nightcap. We got another one coming at you next week. It's been a fantastic day. Make sure you like our Twitter, Instagram, Nightcap NBA for Twitter, NBA Nightcap for Instagram. Thank you so much. Hopefully you had a great NBA trade deadline. I know I did. It was 65 and sunny, and I was out on the mountain, and I was checking Twitter every 20 seconds. Have a great
Keep
rest of your
bragging, we
night.
have 2 knees.
Hey, look at this body. Peak physical performance. Have a great night, all.